Good afternoon to all of you. And today we are going to see the knowledge, its concept, its definition, and the various types of knowledge. Okay. So welcome all the students for this particular lecture on knowledge, concept, definition, and type. So let us see first what is knowledge, and after this particular session, you will be able to learn what is meant by knowledge and what are the various definitions of knowledge and what type of knowledge, what are the various types of knowledge. Okay, so you will be able to learn all these things in this particular session. So, what is knowledge? Knowledge is the familiarity, awareness, or understanding of someone or something. So it may be the fact also. So whenever we know the fact, this is called as a descriptive knowledge. Whenever we know the skills, this is called as a procedural knowledge. We are also going into the depth of the types of knowledge, but for this particular thing, skills, it is related with the procedural knowledge or object that is related with the acquaintance of the knowledge. So what is mean by knowledge? Whenever we understand the any fact, so that is called as a knowledge. So awareness is most important and the understanding is also most important. That is also called as a assimilation of information. So whatever information you are getting, and once you understanding it and once you apply it, so that is called as a knowledge. So knowledge can be acquired in many ways. It may be acquired through various sources also, but we cannot say that it is limited to perceptions or it is a reasons, memory, testimony, scientific inquiries, education, and practice. So knowledge, we are getting the knowledge like formal knowledge, we are getting informal knowledge, we are getting. So formal knowledge we are getting from the university. Whenever we take the admissions to a particular domain, then we are getting the knowledge that is also called as a domain knowledge or expert knowledge. So whenever we do such type of studies like philosophical studies of knowledge, it is called as a epistemology. Okay, so knowledge means there is also difference in data, information, and knowledge. So data means it is a simply it is a fact. Okay, and when we are processing that data, then it becomes an information. And when we process the information and we are information means any message. Okay, so here when we process the information, then it becomes a knowledge. But in the knowledge assimilation process or understanding the particular fact is very very important. So when the processed data becomes information and the processed information becomes the knowledge. And once we apply it with our particular institution or with our particular applications of knowledge to any field, then it is called as a wisdom. So knowledge is the totality of ideas, the whole body of truth. So when we mixed all the ideas, then it becomes then knowledge. Okay, but it should be systematically organized. So all things, whatever things we are knowing it, yeah, means whatever till now, whatever things we are knowing it, it is not necessarily we all are knowing. Okay, but the things beyond man's knowledge are also knowable. So here, whatever things till today, whatever the universe of knowledge we are knowing, beyond that also the knowledgeable things are available. So we don't know how what things are available beyond knowledgeable, whatever our knowledge is. Okay. So according to Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, knowledge is the result of knower and knowing the universe of novice. So here three things are most important. That is first is what is knowledge? So knowledge is the result of knower. So knower is always a man. Okay, here the knower is always a man. You can see here, and knowing the universe of novi. So novi is always a fact, or it may be the systematic ideas, or it may be the things also. So that is called as a novi. So when the knower knows the novi, the process is like that. When the knower knows the novi, then knowledge will create. So creation of knowledge is there when any man or when any woman is knowing the things, or that is called as a novi, then it becomes a knowledge. It creates the knowledge. And when the knower knows more and more about the novi, then the knowledge grew. Okay, so in that way the knowledge will grow, and after that it will spread to the society. Okay, so here the Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, who is the father of library and information science, he is telling that knowledge is a result of the knower knowing the universe of knowing. So what is universe? Universe means whole world. Okay. So in whole world, whatever the novies are there, so we are knowing that. So that is called as a process. So that process, the knower and the novi, when the knower knows about the novi, then the process will start and the knowledge will create. Okay. So here the knowledge is like that. According to S.R. Ranganathan, knowledge is the result of knower knowing the universe of knowing. Then what are the definitions of knowledge? So here the definition is that fact, information and the skills acquired through experiences or the education, the theoretical or practical understanding of a subject is also called a knowledge. Okay. And awareness or familiarity gained by experiences of a fact or situation, that is also called as a knowledge. Let us see one definition which is a very universally accepted definition and very good definition, which is given by the Merriam-Webster dictionary. The first, the fact or condition of knowing something with familiarity gained through experiences or association. So whatever fact we are knowing it, so we are knowing it with our experiences. So that is called as a knowledge, and the acquaintance with our understanding of whatever the concept which is related with the science, arts or the techniques, that is also called as a knowledge. The fact or condition of being aware of something. So we are awareing of something. So it may be anything. It may be the fact, it may be the things, or it may be the ideas. So when we know something, then it is called as a knowledge. And the range of one's information or understanding is also becomes an knowledge. So these are the definition. And from this definition, we can say that knowledge, whenever we know the knowledge, means for knowing is the process of knowing is very important, because one person or person means human will be there. And if we as a person know something, something means here we can say things or fact or ideas or anything. Okay, so when we know something, then it becomes a knowledge. Okay, so these are the definition of knowledge. So we store and retrieve the knowledge in our minds through one process is there, that process is called as a cognitive process. Okay, so what is cognitive process? So when we categorizing it and when we memorizing it, when we conceptual contextual recall we are doing and logical reasoning we are doing, that is called as a cognitive process. Okay, so whatever knowledge till now, whatever knowledge we have from our childhood to till here, whatever our age are, so we store some type of knowledge and we retrieve the knowledge in our minds. So that is called as a cognitive process. So how we are doing the cognitive process in our mind? We are categorizing it, we are memorizing it, we are contextual recall we are doing, and then logical reasoning we are doing. So whatever knowledge we have, we are storing in our mind and through the cognitive process. And there is a knowledge gap. Some of the philosopher, they are also saying the knowledge gaps is also is there, like knowledge is distributed unevenly throughout the society, and this is called as a knowledge gap. So knowledge will spread everywhere. Okay, but if it is not accessible, or it is very restricted for some particular, we can say that person or the community, then there may be a knowledge gap. So that is called as a knowledge gap. So let us see the different types of knowledge. 14 types of knowledge are available, and that we are going to see. So here the first type is the posteriori knowledge, priori knowledge, dispersed knowledge, that is also called, and the domain or expert knowledge, empirical knowledge, encoded knowledge, explicit knowledge, tacit knowledge, meta knowledge, imperative or the procedural knowledge, descriptive knowledge, situated knowledge, known unknown knowledge, and unknown known knowledge. Okay, dispersed knowledge is also known as the distributed knowledge. So let us see one by one what this particular knowledge is. Posteriori knowledge. So posteriori knowledge is a knowledge that we are getting directly from our own personal experiences. So here, whatever experiences we have, like in any circumstances or in any situation, whatever experiences we are gaining from that circumstances, then we are converting that knowledge into the posteriori knowledge. So it is a Latin words, and that which comes after. So when we talk about the posteriori knowledge, we are talking about the knowledge that comes after whatever experiences we had. So through experiences, we are learning something. So that is called as a posteriori knowledge. And it is a knowledge that is a result of our own experiences. So for example, we can say that in the philosophy or in the education, learning by doing. So when we learn by doing our own practice or our own experiences, then whatever knowledge we are gaining from that, so that is called as a posteriori knowledge. And in philosophy, many of the philosophers, they may not be believing in God, or they may be believing in God. So those who are not believing in God, they may be saying that the God is not exist. But those who are believing, then they suppose if they have some experiences in some circumstances, then they may be saying that yes, God is exist. So there may be a different type of opinions, or the different type of arguments are also there. So whatever experiences they are getting from the particular circumstances, then it will called as a posteriori knowledge. And in education also, whatever suppose we are learning by doing something, okay, like say practically if you are doing, so that is also called as a posteriori knowledge. So some types of knowledge are not experiential also. Theoretical or abstract or mathematical knowledge are the examples of some type of knowledge, and which are derived from the abstract or the logical reasoning rather than the direct observations. So there is a logical reasonings are also available, means also there in the posteriori knowledge. Then the priori knowledge. Priori knowledge is the opposite of the posteriori knowledge, and it is a knowledge and the fact that exists without the need of experiences. So we can come to our conclusions through our reasons alone. So for example, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. And you can figure out this without actual getting two separate things or placing them in the front of your eyes to count them. So you use your priori knowledge of mathematical principles to figure it out. So how the 2 becomes 1 plus 2, 1 plus 1 becomes 2. So you are using your priori knowledge, and based on that you are just applying that priori knowledge, and you are doing the calculations. Okay, so that is there. And we can take the another example here in the priori knowledge in the engineering. So whenever the engineer, civil engineer or civil engineer creates any bridge or develop any bridge, so there he will apply his knowledge. So how the weight of the various vehicles, or say for example trucks load will be there. So he should have the knowledge of the various things. So then only he can create, means he can develop a very good bridge. Okay, so that bridge is having some guarantee, it will work for that particular years. Okay, so based on his knowledge he will apply, and then he will develop a bridge. So that is called as a priority knowledge, and it is opposite to the posteriori knowledge. Then dispersed or distributed knowledge. So dispersed or knowledge is that no single person has the capacity to see its entirety. The knowledge is dispersed or spread out among many different peoples. For example, doing one thing, we need a different type of peoples, and we need a different type of knowledge also. For example, if the doctor's surgeon, okay, so surgeon is doing some heart surgery, okay, but for heart surgery, the surgeon should have the domain knowledge also, but at the same time, uh, he needs or she needs a different type of help of the other people also, those who are having their expertise. For example, anesthesia. So while doing the operations or surgery of the heart, the particular specialist, heart specialist will be there, those who are doing the surgery of the heart, but another specialist he needs or she needs, that is the anesthesians. Okay, so if the anesthesian knowledge is good, I mean how to give what, in what percentage that particular injection has to be given to the patient. So that type of knowledge he requires. So here the knowledge will be distributed among the various persons. So if we want to bring a whole lot of knowledge together to achieve something great, we need to get a team of experts for this particular dispersed knowledge, and together to input their knowledge to achieve the goals. So here we needed is different experts, and the within the experts the knowledge is distributed for doing the or for achieving any goals. Okay, than the domain or the expert knowledge. So domain and the expert knowledge, which is also called as a deep knowledge about a particular domain or discipline, and we might also call it is a expert knowledge. So persons with domain knowledge is incredible knowledgeable within their own discipline, but may just have to general knowledge about anything else. So in the domain knowledge, so when we come to the university education, like you come for library and information science to gain the domain knowledge. Okay. So when after completing your MLIC, whatever knowledge you are getting it, then it is called as a domain knowledge. And domain knowledge is very important for anything to do the work in that particular domain. So subject knowledge or domain knowledge, or we can also say the expert knowledge. So this is the expert knowledge or domain knowledge. Then the empirical knowledge. Empirical knowledge is knowledgeable obtained through the senses. So here, whatever experiences we are gaining, and it should be also through our senses, through our experience and through our senses, we are getting this empirical knowledge, and it is different from the posteriori knowledge. And because empirical knowledge must be experiences through our senses alone, and it cannot be a metaphysical reflective dream or the other posteriori experiences. For example, posteriori knowledge we are getting from the experiences, but here the empirical knowledge we are getting or we are deriving from the experiences and by observable by our senses. So that is called as a empirical knowledge. So in empirical, when we are getting the empirical knowledge, in the research we are getting the empirical knowledge, where we are directly suppose if you are doing the research based survey based research, so you are going to field work, okay, for collecting the data, and then you are giving the questionnaire, you are taking the interviews. So many data collection techniques or many data collection tools you are using to gain the particular type of data, or it is also called when we process it, then it becomes a knowledge. So that is called as a empirical knowledge, because you have given the particular questionnaire, or you are taking your interviews of the participant, and there also you are observing through your senses. Yeah, so experiences also, but experiences along with the observable by your senses. If you getting that particular knowledge, then it is called as a empirical knowledge. So generally in the research we are using such type of empirical knowledge. Okay. Then the next one is encoded knowledge. Encoded knowledge is a knowledge that has been recorded in the symbolic codes. So sometimes we are not writing whole things, or written language is also called as a encoded knowledge. Sometimes this makes the knowledgeable easily retrievable by the people and who know how to decode that particular knowledge at a later date. So we might also call this it is as a stored knowledge also. So for example, written languages. So for example, if you are learning the German language, okay, so German language has their own means what, like for example, we have a Devanagari for Marathi, we have a alphabets for the English language. So like that, some German language is also having their own codes, and based on that you can learn the particular language. So that written language is also coming under the encoded knowledge. Even the road sign also. So if the cross is there, then we cannot park, or P cross is there, then we cannot park our vehicle. So like that, they are providing the symbolic codes is converted into the knowledge. So that is called as a encoded knowledge. Then we have a different next one is the tacit knowledge. Tacit knowledge is knowledge that you have but cannot express. Okay, a person with tacit knowledge has usually had that knowledge for so long that they cannot remember how they have learned it, and or what it is true, and they are simply aware that it is useful, accurate knowledge that exists in their mind. So, for example, practitioner knowledge, digital natives, emotional intelligence, they are using this particular tacit knowledge. So, we cannot express it easily. It is there in our mind, but we cannot express it easily. So, that is called as a tacit knowledge. But that knowledge is also very important, because that knowledge is useful, that knowledge is accurate, and which is also available, means exist in our mind, and that is called as a tacit knowledge. Then explicit knowledge. So explicit knowledge is the opposite of the tacit knowledge. Here in for the explicit knowledge, which we can explain easily to the outsiders, and it is a knowledge that we could quickly codify into the words, and we can also express to the others. For example, user guides and manuals, they are providing you the particular guide for how to do the steps by steps. Okay, suppose for any practical, we are preparing some user guides or manual how to search in the Google. So step by steps, we may be providing you the process. We may be providing you the how to search. We are providing you the different type of ways and what type of keywords you have to use it, how to use it. So we are giving you the practical training, and that is available in your user guides or manuals. So that is called as a explicit knowledge, because we are expressing it very easily through written communication. We can express it. Even the recipes, suppose if you want to prepare some recipes, then you have the knowledge, means how to prepare it. Okay, so what things you can do one by one or after one another. So that is also called as a explicit knowledge. And guided teaching practice also, that is coming under the explicit knowledge. And meta knowledge. Meta knowledge is a knowledge about the knowledge. So whatever we are learning about the knowledge, that is called as a meta knowledge. So anything we know about knowledge is considered as a meta knowledge. For example, we are learning about the types of knowledge or what is knowledge. So its information about the knowledge is called as a meta knowledge. Okay. So whatever you are learning, that is already that is a knowledge. But when you are learning it, when you are assimilating it, when you are understanding it, then it becomes a meta knowledge. Okay. For example, taxonomies, it is a classifying things. We are also in the modern trends in classification, we are also using taxonomies. So taxonomies of knowledge is Bloom's taxonomy, which is the outline different depths and levels of knowledge that people have. So Bloom's taxonomy, if you are using it, so that is called as a meta knowledge. So already knowledge is given in the form of information, and then we are understanding it, then it is called as a meta knowledge. Then the next one is imperative or the procedural knowledge. Imperative knowledge is knowing how. It is a knowledge about how to carry out the specific task effectively. And this may involve specific steps or a general understanding of the process by which something gets achieved. So some people hold the secrets of their imperative knowledge, and such when a grandmother passes down a family recipe to her granddaughter. So some type of secret recipes we have, or some type of when we take the example of business, they have their own standard operating procedures. Okay, so that they are not disclosing to somebody. Okay, so that secret recipes, they are called as a imperative knowledge. It is a one type, means it is one example of secret recipes coming under the imperative knowledge. So procedure knowledge means procedure, what type of procedure they are following it to do the specific task or to achieve the specific task, then this is called as a imperative knowledge. Descriptive knowledge. Descriptive knowledge, it is also known as the propositional knowledge. And descriptive knowledge means knowing that something is true. And descriptive knowledge can be learned through memorization, and it does not require significant practical experiences in the field. And by contrast, imperative knowledge means knowing how. But here the descriptive knowledge means knowledge usually require a practical skill in the task. So imperative knowledge is require the task, but the descriptive knowledge only theoretical knowledge you are getting. So that is called as a descriptive knowledge. So students learn facts through passive learning without being given the opportunity to apply them to the real world. So only theoretical knowledge means theoretical we are providing you. So that is called as a descriptive knowledge. But when once you do it, the practical, then it is called as a imperative knowledge, because you are involving and you are knowing how to do it. Okay, like for example, if we are teaching you the classification, then practically how to do it, then it is called as a imperative knowledge. But we are not giving you the practical experiences, and just we are giving the theoretical way how to do it. Okay, like classify first, then see the schedule. So like that, if we are giving the theoretical only, then this is called as a descriptive knowledge. The next one is situated knowledge. Situated knowledge is a knowledge that emerges out of a specific context, community, or culture. It is knowledgeable. It is a knowledge that is specific to that situation, and it is very hard to understand from the outside of that perspectives. So whatever the situation has been created, based on that situation, we are gaining some type of knowledge, and why we have done like that for reacting for that particular situation. Then from the other's perspective, they may not be understanding why he has done the particular decision or any process. Okay, so whenever we get a cultural knowledge is called as a situated knowledge. And here from our childhood, we are getting a different cultures in the different communities. So we are understanding the concept, we are understanding through our culture, through the different communities, but it may be hard for the outsiders to understand that particular knowledge. Okay, so situated knowledge, it is the knowledge when the situation is there, and based on that particular situation, based on that particular culture, we are understanding the knowledge. So that is called as a situated knowledge. Then known unknown knowledge. When we have known unknown, we are aware that there is something that we don't know or understand. Then known unknown are usually within our grasp of understanding, because we are aware of what we need to learn and we can seek the answers. So this is the contrast to known unknown, and which are not even within our own horizon of awareness, and therefore we cannot seek out the answers. So for example, we have a different confusions for different situations or for different concepts, even the curiosity. So we are coming across with something new, and it may cause to us become a curious. For example, if we are not knowing anything about that particular subject, then it is called as a known unknown. So you have to know the knowledge, those who are unknown. Okay. So that is called as a known unknown knowledge. And the opposite of that particular this thing is the next one, unknown unknowns. So unknown unknown are a piece of knowledge that we do not have, and equally are aware of what we don't have it. Means whatever knowledge we don't have, then we are unknowing it. Some type of knowledge beyond, like Dr. S.R. Raghunathan has given the particular definition also. Beyond knowledge, the man will be very curious to know about that unknown knowledge also. So that is coming under the unknown knowledge. For example, many theoretical physicists, they are also trying what is unknown knowledge. Okay, so that is in religion also. Many religious people may differ to unknown knowledge as a thing that are in the realm of the God, not man. So the things beyond the man's knowledge are also knowable. So that is called as a unknown knowledge. Okay, so these are the particular references for preparing this particular video. You can also refer it, Dr. P.H.G. Kumar, Knowledge Organization, Information Processing and Retrieval book. You can use it. And one good article is also available in the Types of Knowledge by Chris Drew. So thank you very much for listening this particular session. Thank you. So I will take your attendance also. If you have any doubts, you can now ask it. I have stopped the recording also. Just a minute, I will take your attendance. And if it is stopped running out, the time is running out, so automatically the meeting will be over. And day after tomorrow, tomorrow is a holiday, so day after tomorrow I will take your class. Okay. So if you have any doubt, you can ask it. I will also share this recording in the Google Classroom. If you want to re-listen it, you can re-listen it. I will also share the text also in the on the Google Classroom. Those who have joined, but they have not joined the Google Classroom, you can give in the group also. I will add you in the Google Classroom. And you can also just type it in the YouTube, Shalini Lihtkar. I will also share some of the videos of our class in the YouTube. So if possible, then you can just search it to the YouTube, Shalini Lihtkar, and you can just subscribe the channel also. Otherwise, I will also give you the link. Just a minute.